Salvete omnes, ego sum Magister Sullivan. We're back at book 1 of the AP syllabus of the Aeneid, lines 195 through 209. And again, this further demonstrates Aeneas taking care of his men, or his people, rather. So, here we go. I'm sorry, so where last we took off, Aeneas went out and slew 7 deer to get to the 7 ships to provide food, meat for his people, for his comrades. All right, so here we go. So we're going to start off here. Our main verb is down here is deleted. So Aeneas, he divides. We can have diende here being at last he divides, or we can do it in the normal sequence that's depicted here. So he divides the wine, which good Acestes had taken up, or had packed, in casks from the Tricrinian shore, and he had given it to those leaving. So we have a dative here. We forgot to put Heros in, so if we go back, it says he divides finally, or at length, the wine which good Acestes had carried in casks, or had bottled up in casks. Acestes as a hero here, and he had given it to the ones leaving, probably on the boats, right? So dederat here is a pluperfect verb, right? So it's important to note the E-R-A. And Aeneas, he soothes them, he calms their grieving minds. So grieving minds, this is a participle, right, present participle, right? And he soothes their grieving minds with words, with these words. It's also hard not to compare the language here to that of Neptune in calming the winds. So he's going to try to calm their grieving hearts. So he's going to say, "O allies," right? So this is a vocative because he's talking to them directly. O usually indicates that. So, "O allies, for we are not ignorant of the evils before. O those having suffered," so a participle here, "more seriously," or more serious things, we could say, "the God will give an end also to these. You approached both the wrath of Scylla and the rocks resounding within." So there are these rocks that are treacherous that they have to pass through. There's only a thin slip that Odysseus has to get through, and he uses Orpheus to make music, and he's a bird and all that fun stuff to fly through, and they just barely escape. "And you experienced, you tested, you tried the Cyclopean rocks, or the rocks of the Cyclops." So remember, Polyphemus, he is the one that Odysseus outsmarts, only after losing some of his men, having been eaten by the Cyclops. And so Aeneas actually revisits that place and picks up one of Odysseus's leftover crewmen, and he still gets the wrath of the rocks thrown at them. And he says, "Vocate, call back your spirits, call back your minds, and send your..." I'm sorry, we'll start back. So call back your strength, call back your mind, your spirits, and send away your sad fear. Something to note, so revocate and mitite, these are imperatives, right, and only ever encountered in dialogue or speech. They're commands, right, and there's only a couple forms of them, which we can talk about another time. And perhaps it will help one day to remember these things. There's a couple of other ways you can translate it, and perhaps one day it will be a help to remember these things. All right, this is a very famous quote. And through or over various misfortunes and over so many, um, crimes of things. Yeah. So through so many crises of our situation, we strive, we hurry into Latium, into Latium. This is again the region where Rome will be, where fates show quiet seats. So quiet seats probably refers to peace. And there in that place, it is right to resurrect, to restore the kingdom of Troy. So he says, endure, right? And you keep safe or are, and persevere or save yourself for favorable times, right? Favorable matters, favorable events. He says, literally, he carries these things, such words back with his voice. And sick from huge concerns, sick with or weary with huge cares or concerns, he pretends, he feigns hope in his face. An ancient word, old English word is countenance. It's a fun word, right? And there's no and here, but he presses, right? Grief deep in his heart, right? Even though you could say, you could do this the other way. You could say he presses deep grief in his heart, but sometimes we can make this adjective an adverb in a sense. He presses fear deep in his heart. Sometimes it sounds more poetic, and it's perfectly acceptable to do here. All right, so here we have Aeneas as leader, right? Whereas his first action as leader was organizing and getting things off the ship, everything that could be salvaged. Then he went hunting, slew 7 deer, brought each deer back and placed it before each of the ships. Then he divided the wine, and now he's giving them a speech here, a rally speech, to kind of keep them from losing hope. So it's a far different Aeneas than we saw at his lowest, I believe, on the ships when they were being ravaged. So, all right, that's it. Walete omnes.